So we had some rain last night, about 9/10 of an inch, which was kind of good and kind of bad. I still have about 300-400 acres of hay on the ground right now that's laying there. Timothy just took off to go stack where we were baling yesterday, so you know, that's a good thing. But I want to talk about how I'm going to fix that Heston baler. Now, I've looked at this crone for years now, these crones, and I love the way they're built. And there was actually some comments about the welding on the crone baler, and I've always admired the way the Germans have built these balers and the would you call it, a runoff on their welds. I call it a runoff, but I don't know if that's a technical term or not. I'm trying to get an example here, which I'm unable to do at the moment. When they weld these gussets on here, and we used this thing yesterday, and if I open it up, it's just going to go crazy. But right here, you can see it right here. See how that is kind of like a bird's mouth there? That's how they do it. They weld that like that. What that does is, at the end of it, they just trail off or run off. And they do that so that it doesn't crack. There's, at the end of the weld, if you were to just go around that, it could create a weak spot at the point, which I highly doubt would break, but I've seen some fractures on some other pieces of equipment from the non-runoff gusseted or fish plates and things like that. So I think that's a great idea what they've done. The other great idea that I know that they've done is on these rails. And I'm going to show you the difference here in a minute. It's going to be, I'm going to have to run out to the farm, out to the other end of the farm, where the other Heston's at. As you know, I did replace these per the video I did yesterday or the day before. I'm not even sure where this is going to fall. But those are the rollers. Everything looks good there. And those rollers run, or the rails are bolted to, what is that, like 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 or 2 1/2 by 2 1/2 square hollow tubing. And the square hollow tubing, if you look at it, I'm hoping I can get my camera in there, it is quite thick. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but it looks to me, oh, let me see, it looks to me, yeah, there, you can see it. That's pretty thick. I mean, it looks like 1/4 inch square hollow tubing, which you know, of course, they've got on the top part of it, they have welded a gusset or a sleeve so that you can't crush it when you tighten down the, I'll get my foot down here, when you tighten down the bolt. You can see it there. Now, I don't know if that goes all the way through. I highly doubt that it does, but it is there. They probably do go all the way through to keep it from crushing, which is awesome because that ties both top and bottom together so that when you do squish it, it is attached to the top and the bottom. You get that double strength from the top and the bottom, which 1/4 inch would be a 1/2 inch. But then, of course, you get the side walls as well, which is another 1/2 inch of strength. Now, this thing was hammering when the plunger would stroke, because what would happen is the plunger would hit the hay and it has to cut it at the bottom, so it's constantly lifting at the back. If you know, see the hand motion that I've got going on here, which you can't miss because it's just like this wave. Anyway, so when it hits, it goes doink, doink, and it constantly does that. And it was, as those wheels got rounded off, or those rollers got rounded off, and let me see if I can find one here. Oh, here they are. As they got worn away, this one here is probably not one of the worst ones, but as that wore away, it created a gap. So the crown is gone. It now is tapered downwards towards the inside, and there's probably a, you know, all joking aside, there was probably a 1/16 or a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 inch gap from the resting position. It was at least an 1/8 inch gap. I know it was, because it was just crazy how much banging that thing did. And I knew that it was time to replace these, because if I didn't, it would just start to hammer on those rails. And I'm going to shut the camera off right now. Okay, so this is several generations difference in balers. Baler design. You can see I have taken the roller out of this one. I took it out. it's in the shop, and you know, it just is what it is. Now you can see the very large difference between that baler and this baler, the Krone baler versus the Heston. Now what happened was, when that roller wore enough, it actually, see, this is a multiple piece rail, which I don't recommend anybody to have. It just wasn't a good idea, because the split is here at the end of where the roller stops. So the same effect was happening. The roller was going down the rail, and then it goes bang up against here, and it hammered to the point where it actually broke the bolt out right there. So once it broke that bolt out of there, that allowed more play, more room, and it depleted the strength of these three pieces of steel. 1, 2, 3. Depleted that power, or that strength of that thing, to the point where, what do? You know, I mean, what the hell do? You have to, it just allowed it to beat the shit out of it, and this is what I ended up with. You look up in here, you can see, I'm hoping you can see, that it is just completely railed. It's junk. The bottom side is the same thickness as what the Krone is. The only difference is between this and that is that this is just a C-channel, where it bolts to a very thin 1/4 inch piece of steel. There's no strength. There's not a lot of strength there. So my idea here is to actually take and chop this out. I'm going to bring the machine in. We'll take the boxes off. We'll take all this stuff off, so we got plenty of room here to work. And you know, get in here. I think I need to take the box off, because I don't want to be welding in there with this box on, and it can't be that difficult to do. So what I'm gonna do is, me, Cody, Tim, Joe, whoever's there at the time, I'm gonna cut this thing off. This rail is coming out completely, and I'm going to get I guess a chain hoist, and I'm gonna pull this one back to where it belongs, so that it's, you know, square, and then I'm going to replace this piece here with square hollow tubing. It should not be that difficult to do the job. It's just going to be a lot of cutting, welding, cursing, swearing, you know, that normal stuff that we have here on the farm. So I will do that, and I will get this baler back into good shape, into good operating, running shape, so that it's and before I do that, I'm going to buy new rollers, or new runners, or new rails. I'll put the new rails in, top and the front and the back. I will bolt them to the new piece. I will put the new piece on here with new rollers on the plunger itself. We took the bottom ones out too. I'll take and bolt those onto, put the new rollers on the plunger itself, get it all centered where it needs to be, and yeah, then I will start welding the new piece in. So it's definitely going to take some time, but it'll be worth it in the end, because this baler really, for me, it's not a bad baler. I think it's actually a decent baler. The problem is that its previous owners have beat the ever-loving piss out of it, neglected it to the point where it just was totally neglected. You can see there's an issue here. Looks like it was on fire, right? Well, it actually was on fire. This thing was on fire. It burned while it was in the shop overnight. There's a wire, electric wire, this guy right here, Cody replaced it. It had rubbed through and it had sparked and caused that fire. Damn near burning the whole building down and everything. So I won't park a baler in the building unless I know that it's been cleaned off, or it has been a while since it baled last. And this one here, we've got so much done to this baler now that it will actually work. So it's actually going to do what it's supposed to do, other than that problem. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get another dousing of rain tomorrow, or today, which is going to put me out of the hay baling, mowing, taking, breaking, baling business for a little while. I have an engine overhaul kit ordered for the 4960. It's time to do it. We get a rainy day or two for that. I'll have that engine torn down, inspected, see if I need to do anything weird to it, which I don't think I will. It runs fine. It's just time. We're getting a lot of blow by, and I don't need unreliability. That workhorse needs to get to the field and work. But I do have ambitions of having it painted up too, just because I like the tractor.